Hello and welcome to a leveling guide for Gunlancer. This video will feature which skills you should take when it comes to leveling. These skills will be what you use between level 10 and level 50, and just so you know, resetting skills is free in this game. You have nothing to pay, no in-game cash, no real cash. This is free. So long as you have a skill on cooldown, or so long as you're not in an instance area like a dungeon or a quest instance, then you can reset your entire skill tree for free. So you don't have to worry about having a leveling build that might end up being obsolete later on and costing you a lot. This is not the case here. So no worries, you can just take the leveling build and be fine with it. Alright, so if you just want to know the essential skills, I'll just leave it at the beginning of the video so that you get what you want and you can just stop. You would have this optimally at level 40. You'd have 4 filler skills, 2 Aerie Burst skills, and 2 boss killer skills that are single target bursts. Now, I'll go more in depth for each type of skill. For the sake of this video being faster, I decided to max the tripods on each skill. So let's start with the fillers. Fillers are going to be what you use when you are out of big skills. They will be, well, very often used, as their name imply, and you have 4 of them. You have Sharp Spear, Fire Bullet, Rising Spear, and Shield Shock. Just so you know, these names might not be representative of what they're actually called in the NA EU version, but the icons will be the same. And the animation, of course, will be the same. So as far as fillers go, you will have all of them on your hotbar, but you should focus on 1 or 2 of them, whichever you prefer. They're all pretty similar. Sharp Spear hits all around you, Fire Bullet and Rising Spear hit in a cone in front of you, and Shield Shock hits all around you. They're all very low cooldown, with Shield Shock having the longest cooldown of 12 seconds, and Sharp Spear having the shortest cooldown of 5 seconds. Just pick whatever you want here. They're all pretty similar. As far as tripods go, your priority will be cooldown reduction, and then damage, and then range. And something I almost forgot to mention, as far as your filler skills go, you get all 3 here, the red one, at level 10 when you start the game. Shield Shock you get at level 28, which is much later, but fortunately the majority of your skills are unlocked from the get-go. Now for the next skills, it's going to be the Aerie Burst skills. This will be your crowd killers. You have 2 of them. You have Lightning Guardian Stunnable, that you unlock at level 14, which is pretty early on, and then you get Hateful Cry, which is at level 24 that you unlock, which is a bit later, but still pretty early on. These 2 skills would be what you use to immediately kill everything that's around you, and that's pretty weak, which will be most of the hordes that you meet in the overworld or in dungeons. Guardian's Lightning also has the additional property of being able to paralyze everything around you, which is great. One thing to note about Hateful Cry is that you don't need to level it up beyond level 7. And more importantly, you actually need it at level 7. If you don't have it at level 7, then you miss out on 200% more damage on weak enemies around you, which is quite a big deal. As far as skill priority goes, tripod priority goes, it's again cooldown reduction and then damage. Now for the single target boss killer skill. You get 2 of them. You get Charge Stinger at level 20, and then you get Spear Shot at level 40, I believe. Those 2 skills will be your lifesavers, and you will want to keep them all the time on your hotbar immediately after you get them. Charge Stinger, especially as you get it very early, and it's going to be very handy because the enemies that have the most HP and take the longest time to kill are going to be the bosses in dungeons when you get to leveling. So yes, once you get Charge Stinger, I would recommend immediately maxing it out, even if you have to level down filler skills and even your AoE burst. What you should do is at least have 1 single target skill maxed, and then have your Aerie Burst leveled up, and then your fillers. So this is what Charge Stinger would look like, and this is going to be Spear Shot. Both of these skills have a pretty long cooldown, Charge Stinger at 30 seconds, which is huge, and Spear Shot at 18 seconds, but they do a lot of damage. Here you will want to take the tripods that deal more damage to enemies immune to stun and knockback, because bosses are all immune to stuns, hard CCs or knockbacks, which means you get more skill on these two great damage skills. Mobility skills. Mobility skills are going to be skills that you're not going to level up until level 50. There is actually no point because they don't deal that much damage, and they're mostly going to be used to walk around, in fact, a bit faster, or go through crowds so that you can, you know, not be surrounded by enemies, so that you can hit your skills better. So there's not much point in putting points into them, really. They're just there if you feel the need actually to move around faster. You can completely skip them. Skills that you're going to use until you get better skills. You get 2 skills at level 10 besides the 3 fillers, which are actually 3 skills, sorry, which is Bash, and then Shield Push, and then Dash Up a Fire. These 3 skills are okay, but they're just not as good as the fillers when you level up. So Bash has extremely short range, has 10 seconds of cooldown, and does not do much damage. Bash is actually used at level 50 to set up your burst cannons and stingers, because when you have enough skill points to put tripods into it, then you get to do massive damage because it buffs you and debuffs target. But you're not going to need that much damage when leveling up, and you won't have that many skill points when leveling up to begin with, so it ends up being, well, not really worth the investment until you get to level 50. Shield Push is an okay skill. It deals decent damage. It has 9-second cooldown. It can be a filler until you get Shield Shock, but unfortunately it has pretty lousy range and doesn't hit very far, so it's not that great for hordes, which is what you're going to be meeting most of the time while leveling up. Dash Up a Fire is a strong skill. It does quite a bit of damage, but it has a very long cooldown too, and it has a very narrow hitbox, which means that you're not going to hit a big area. And again, same problem as Shield Push, sorry, is that you're going to be meeting enemies that surround you from everywhere more often than not when you're in dungeons or in the overworld, so you get much less damage out of a Dash Up a Fire than you could from a fire bullet or something else. Hook Chains. Hook Chains is actually pretty nice. It has very good range. It hits a lot of enemies in front of you in a cone, but the problems come from the cooldown. It has a 24-second cooldown, and it does not do that much damage. So you're not going to be using it much. You'll be using it a bit when you unlock it, because it's going to be an early on AoE option, but then you unlock better skills quite literally like 2 levels after it, so you know, it's okay, but you can use much better skills than these 4, I mean. Finally, skills that you're not going to use at all until level 50 and then become absolute essentials at level 50, which is going to be Nelaja, which is a team buff that reduces damage that you take, and Counter, which is a gigantic shield that you have for 2 seconds, which protects you from everything, including hot CCs, and then, well, if you get hit during it, you get to do an attack. The only problem with those 2 skills is that leveling up, you are not going to encounter any threatening damage at all. The bosses don't hurt that bad when you level up, and the crowd of enemies don't really hurt you either when you level up. So until you get to level 50, and then you unlock raids and big dungeons like Abyss, and you know, places and enemies that actually deal a lot of damage to you, and then you have to take Nelaja, and you can optionally take Counter. Yes, but until then, on the road to 50, there's no point in having these two. You're better off just taking more fillers or taking more damage. As far as priorities go when it comes to leveling up skills and tripods, I recommend maxing out Charge Stinger immediately. This is going to be your strongest single target skill and you'll need it while leveling up. When you get it at level 20, in fact, you can immediately level it up and upgrade another skill to level 4, and at that point, level 20, I would recommend leveling up Guardian's Thunderbolt, in fact. The idea is that you want to upgrade your single target first, which would include Spear Shot, but you get it quite later at level 40, so don't worry too much about it. You'll have enough points to max both Charge Stinger and Spear Shot. After you max both of them, you should get Hateful Cry to level 7, because that's when you do the most damage with it around you. And then Lightning, Thunderbolt, I never get used to that, Guardian's Thunderbolt to max. Once you have these 4 skills done, so that'd be 3 skills at level 10, 1 skill at level 7, then you should level up the fillers. Fillers, you can choose whichever you want. There's no particular difference between them, to be honest. They're going to be doing the same job altogether, and you'll have all of them anyway on your hotbar. I would recommend Shout Speed just because it hits all around you, and if you're a Warlord, if you're a new Gunlancer, you might not be used to having to reposition yourself with the backstep. So maybe having something that hits all around you could be easier for you, but you know, you can just use this one too, it's fine. Fire Bullet is also strong, and so is Shield Shock. It's really preference at this point. It's really whichever you want to upgrade. But your big priorities are going to be Charge Stinger, Spear Shot, level 7 Hateful Cry, and Thunderbolt. After that, you select the fillers that you want to use. If you want, you can replace one of the fillers with a mobility tool if you feel a bit too slow walking around in dungeons. Alright, before I end this video, I would like to mention the fact that I made a Google Spreadsheet document that I am sharing in the description, and I will also be posting about in the pinned comment below this video. This is way more in-depth. This document will show you where you could put your skill point per level. It took me a bit to make it, and normally there should not be any mistakes, but yes, it's the most optimal way, in my opinion, to put your skill points for whichever skill per level. Something like level 20, you have Charge Stinger at level 10 and Guardian's Lightning at level 4, and then the level 21 you get a filler at level 4, and then you downgrade your filler at level 22 to upgrade Guardian's Lightning. So it's way more in depth. You can use that, or you can just use this video, or just discover here for yourself. You don't have to go too in depth. Leveling is not that hard, I promise. But that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.